the boundary between the gospel and the social gospel needs to be watched very carefully because we have many historical examples of groups of Christians who originally started as a very gospel-centered groups, but over the years, they really drifted towards a social gospel. Student volunteer movement, for instance, is one group like that. And often this is a gradual process. And so we need to be very attentive to these historical examples. Now, for me, the boundary between these two types of the gospel ministry is that often social gospel movement tend to very much emphasize the horizontal aspect of the ministry, particularly giving a lot of attention to those who are in need, those who are powerless, those who are marginalized, which is a good thing, but at the almost expense of neglecting their vertical relationship with God and with Jesus Christ. And so they reduce all Christian gospel ministry to this horizontal plane, and that is a very reductionistic, and therefore can easily fall into this error of reducing gospel to simply good works. The another aspect is that often the social gospel is very attentive to here and now, the temporal situations, but once again, completely neglecting the eternal reality that we all face about heaven and hell. In fact, sometimes they very disparagingly talk about the issues of eschaton, because often following the Marxist thinking that paying too much attention to heaven and hell causes us to neglect about the situation of today. That's a false dichotomy I think they assume, and often that is another reason why I think they depart from the historical Orthodox Christian faith. I think another the difference would be the social gospel would often dependent upon the political and economic system as a source of salvation and liberation, and then completely neglect the spiritual aspect of our human reality, our sinfulness, and so forth. So they see the very partial picture of the human reality, and therefore their gospel is very incomplete and often lacking the kind of the transformative power that they can have. I am very encouraged by many of the particularly younger evangelicals who are becoming very enthusiastic about social concerns and so forth. But I am at the same time quite concerned that unless we're careful, we may walk down the same historical pathway that the social gospel folks went. So for instance, when they use the term like social justice, I asked them, what do you mean by that? And often the answer I would get is the definition that they heard from their secular university context, which, as you know right now, is a very ideologically loaded term. And it's also a very divisive term because African American communities often use this term quite differently than, let's say, how Latinos would use it or how gay and lesbians would use it. I think we really need to, as a Christian community, really find a biblical and theologically reflective definition of the term so that, it is a term that is found in scriptures and we need to use it, but we need to now use it in a context of the redemptive history of the gospel and not unthinkingly import the outside meaning and use it in such, because that is a first, perhaps, step toward the social gospel direction unless we're careful about that.